Hi guys, Kim here. Welcome to Backyard Blooms. In today's video, I have a very special treat for you. I have six gorgeous gardens that I'm going to share with you. We are coming to an end on our collaboration with us gardening girls, and I'm going to start off with Betty. Betty's channel is called Simple Southern Garden. Betty's video could not say it any better, and how us girls met and how we got together with Janie on Dig, Plant, Water, Repeat. So here is Betty.
Hey y'all, and welcome back. Well, today is a very exciting day because today marks the last chapter in our Garden Dream video series. So I want to take you guys back to the very beginning and show you where this beautiful friendship has blossomed. All right, guys, let's go. So it's the winter of 2023. And we all unknowingly submitted videos to Janie's channel, Dig, Plant, Water, Repeat, for the Show Me Your Gardens videos.
Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden and welcome to Show Me Your Gardens Week. I just want to thank all of you who submitted photos and pictures and videos of your garden and took the time to fill out the questionnaire that I had. This is such great information. You all have such beautiful gardens and I cannot wait to show everybody what you all submitted.
This was the start of a beautiful friendship between a lot of flower friends. Gardeners from around the U.S. showed the YouTube garden world our beautiful gardens. After this video aired, I thought it would be so much fun to get all the gardeners together. What a better way than Instagram? I started a Flower Friends message board and invited all the gardeners to join. As we started chatting, we learned that some of us had more interest than just gardening, but we also had the passion to share it on YouTube. This is where our collaboration gardening YouTube group was formed. Our first collaboration video was called The Art of Gardening. With Julia, one of our flower friends, being a member, this was perfect because she is an artist and she definitely led the way on this collaboration effort. The Art of Gardening video set the framework for our next collaboration, which would be called Garden Dreams, and this was a series that we did over the past couple of months. The Garden Dreams series was the launching pad of my new cottage garden. Out of all the collaborators together, my garden was definitely the baby garden in the series. Just living in our house for 1 year, I had a blank slate to get started on with my garden dream. So my garden dream was to create a cottage garden. And as you can see, this is my cottage garden. It has been such a beautiful addition to our garden. But this cottage garden was not just a dream that I came up with on my own, but it was a source of inspiration from all of my flower friends that I've met through these YouTube video series. So my dream was to create a cottage garden, and I had an absolute blank slate to work with. It started off with just rocks and some grass and a little meadowy area, and now has transformed into a beautiful cottage garden. So I've learned so much along the way about working with different colors and different textures, plants that would attract pollinators, and plants that would add height into the garden, ones that were just beautiful to look at and that were just very reliable. And then every part of nature just blesses me every day with all of the beautiful butterflies that we've brought into this garden. So as I'm learning and dreaming, I'm learning of more things that I want to add to our garden and things that maybe just don't work out so well for us. But one of the things that does work for us is this pink muley grass. It is absolutely gorgeous in our garden, and in September, it is its time to shine. One of the things that we may not look for is just those easy landscape roses like this apricot drift. Doesn't cost a lot of money. It's super easy to care for, and it just adds beautiful blooms all summer long. With just a few seeds, these snapdragons and these zinnias have added such beautiful color and texture into our gardens and are absolutely loved by all of our pollinator friends. This little area in the cottage garden just screams fall to me with the yellow, oranges, and reds, and this vermilion is loved by the hummingbirds and the butterflies. So I feel, as most gardeners, my cottage garden will never be complete. It'll always be evolving and changing as the seasons go. I learn the things that I like, the things that I don't like, the things that do well and the things that don't do well, and the things that the butterflies love and the ones that they don't. And this will help me as I go along to create a more beautiful cottage garden each year. It has been so much fun creating this cottage garden, and I'm so glad that I could do this series with my friends and we can experience our garden dreams together. My flower friend Kim also has the inspiration for her garden dream for a cottage garden. Her garden was always gorgeous, but you know, as gardeners, we are always wanting to change and expand. Kim was so gracious to let me come and tour her beautiful garden and glean ideas from my own space. She also took me plant shopping and showed me different plants that would flourish in our North Carolina weather. She also taught me about combining different textures to create a beautiful cottage garden. So Kim is still working on her cottage garden, and I am still learning ideas from her every day. Julia has been such an inspiration to me because she is an artist. With me not having many artistic abilities, I have learned so much about color for my cottage garden. My vision was pink, purple, white, and orange, but I learned how important it is to have colors that contrast to make the softer colors shine. As my cottage garden has grown, I am learning what colors bring me joy, happiness, and that pair well together. Julia has a beautiful garden, but she is still working in her garden, and she is going to be adding pathways and also adding more of the Japanese grasses. DeBorrah is the second closest flower friend to me, and living in Georgia, we just had an instant kinship together because that is my home state. One of the things I love about her garden is that she's always building and creating new garden pieces. This inspired me to ask my dad to help me build an obelisk for the Claire Austin climbing rose that my husband bought me for Valentine's Day. This obelisk has added to the cottage feel that I was dreaming for. DeBorrah continues to create in her garden and is working on creating a beautiful secret garden. Lynn has such a beautiful garden, and it is so unique and so different. With her love of the woodlands is such an inspiration to my next garden dream, which is a woodland garden. After having a few trees removed and vines cut back, I started to see how my woods could become a woodland garden like Lynn's. She is so knowledgeable on plants that are deer resistant and plants that love shade. She continues to create a garden woodland habitat for all the animals who live in her woods. Clear across the U.S. and California is where my friend Emily lives at. You would think that since we live so far away from each other that I couldn't glean anything from her garden, but that is so far from the truth. She struggles with lots of heat in the summer just like me. She's also inspired me to add more seating to my garden, a place where I can sit and relax and reflect on the beautiful gardens. This has been a hard lesson for me, but one that was needed. Emily still continues to work on her beautiful Zen garden despite all the difficulties that she has with the California weather. This last year has been so memorable, and one of the most memorable things is being back on Janie's channel, Dig Plant Water Repeat, on Show Me Your Gardens. And so we did an update on all of our beautiful gardens, and we shared to the YouTube world about our beautiful friendship that was made.
Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. I have such a fun treat for you all today. It's a fun treat for me to see as well. So last year in my Show Me Your Garden series, I featured a whole bunch of gardeners in all zones. Well, some of them got together, became friends, and on Instagram actually formed a gardening group, a gardening club. And they are the sweetest women, and they all have YouTube channels, and they actually all have started doing collaboration videos together, which has been so much fun to watch. So they surprised me and sent me a video that is basically a then and now video. Then of what their gardens were like last year in my last Show Me Your Gardens, and then what their gardens are like now. So it is such a fun video. I had to share it with all of you. We're gonna start off with Betty from Simple Southern Garden. I think she's kind of the ringleader, the one that put it all together. So let's head over to Betty and we'll take a look at her garden.
Our friendship just didn't blossom over social media. I was able to visit Kim and also able to visit DeBorrah this year. The three of us got together and were able to go to Michigan to the 2024 Signature Garden Experience by proven winners at the 4-star greenhouses. I brought home so much inspiration for my garden and a heart filled of gratitude for the friendships made. So this may be goodbye for the Garden Dream series, but it's just the beginning for me of these beautiful friendships that were made and the future garden dreams that I have for our garden here in coastal North Carolina. Thank you so much for following along on the Garden Dream series. It has been such an inspiration to me, and I hope it's been an inspiration to you as well. I encourage you to go down to the description and check out all of the other flower friends and their Garden Dream videos. Let me know what Garden Dream speaks to you. Are you interested in creating a beautiful cottage garden like Kim and myself? Are you interested in creating a secret garden like DeBorrah? Or maybe you're just wanting a Zen garden like Emily? Or maybe you're just thinking about all the artful ways you can play with colors and textures like Julia? Or maybe you want to create that woodland habitat for all the woodland species in your area, like Lynn. Let me know which one is your favorite. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys can get in your gardens today. Bye, friends.
Garden number 2 is mine with Backyard Blooms with Kim. I hope you enjoy this video. I'm still planting, guys. Still planting. Hi guys, Kim here. Welcome to Backyard Blooms. In today's video, we are going to talk about garden dreams. And right now, I am dreaming about my cottage garden. So I am going to bring you along through all 4 seasons, what the garden looked like in the winter, in the spring, in the summer, and now into the fall. So we are currently filming into the fall, and I am still adding flowers to make all my dreams come true. So here in the fall, we are still adding gorgeous flowers to make my dreams come true. And this beautiful coneflower right here adds that big, big pop of color that I am striving for. This variety right here is an echinacea coneflower called Kismet Raspberry. It takes full sun. It grows in zones 4A to 9B, and this one gets 18 inches tall. Look how gorgeous these colors are going to look in my cottage garden. Now, I'm still trying to strive for that beautiful golden yellow color here in the fall. And this one is going to do this one for me. This one gets really, really tall. I so wished I had blooms on this one right now. This one is going to go into the back of the garden because it's going to get 96 inches tall. This one is called Rudbeckia arcuata. There we go, guys. This one takes full sun, and this one is zones 7A to 10B. This plant right here is a colocasia, and it is called Walkin' Kiki. Yes, what a name, Walkin' Kiki. This one takes sun to part sun, and it is zones 7B to 10B, and it gets 42 inches tall, and it will get 60 inches wide. So you wouldn't believe by looking at this little flower that you can get some growth of 60 inches wide. So it's going to make a gorgeous presence in the garden. And yes, you guys, my cottage garden will take full sun and part shade to shade. So I'm really, really excited about that. These cryptomerias behind me have grown so big and have gave me such a privacy structure, but it also has given me some shade garden as well. The next flower that I'm going to talk about, and I'm just going to put the tag up there for you because I don't know how to say it. This one is called Pink Star, and it grows in zones 3A to 8B, and this one takes full sun. Its height is 24 inches tall and will get 36 inches wide. And I wished I had some blooms on there, but they're about ready to pop out. So Pink Star is going to look gorgeous in this cottage garden as well. And this next plant is called Purple Heart. And look at that gorgeous little flower, you guys. Isn't that beautiful? But just the foliage itself adds just a lot to the garden. So I am really, really excited about putting this into my garden. This will make a great ground cover, which I am currently working on. So once you get your main structures, like your big trees and then your shrubs, and then even some perennials, then you really, really need to work on your ground cover. And that is what I'm currently working on today. So this is the start of the cottage garden, and that right there is my west side garden. But to start off, I have a gorgeous magnolia tree. This is the little gem magnolia. Look at the gorgeous foliage that the snow and summer's given me right here. Isn't that beautiful? I have two in the hanging baskets. Look at that sign, isn't that beautiful? Coming down here, I have some Gara that's out of bloom, a beautiful hosta. This is probably one of my favorite hostas. Daylilies are out of bloom. And then I have some tea olives back there for privacy. Coming over here, look at the beautiful carex grass. And then I love fall grasses too. This one in the sunshine just gives you a gorgeous little purple hue. I love that. So I'm starting to work on some shade plants right here. And this one is called Black Diamond. It's a hellebore. This one's an unusual and rare plant, so I'm really excited to see that to bloom. And then this gorgeous hosta, even though it's a hosta, it still has some really light on the foliage, and I love it. This one is called Hosta Hands. So I'm going to add that in this area too. And one of the plants that I absolutely adore is this one. And yep, that's what this one is called. I don't know why they have to name these such long names, but it is gorgeous in this garden right here. And then another carex grass that's going to add some brightness to it is called Everillo carex grass. That looks beautiful. I planted another hellebore right there, and then another painted fern right there. And this plant right here is called the holly fern. And let me just tell you a little bit more about it because I love the structure of this plant. It's a distinctive gold stripe, adds a splash of color to grassy green fronds that lead texture to the garden with their lacy appearance. So I love that. I need to make me a little garden tag for that one. And then it pairs really, really pretty with this one right here, which is called a golden Japanese spike nard. This one gets really big. Did not realize it gets big. This one can, let's see, it can grow 3 to 4 feet. Had no idea how big that this one can get. This one is zones 3 to 9. And yes, I'm not perfect. I dug right into my drip. So like I said, I'm adding lots of plants right here that love shade. This gets a little bit from anywhere from shade to partial shade in that area. There's things I need to remove, like this Mexican sunflower does not bloom, so it needs more of a sunny location. And then some of the other plants that I just talked about, that's the pink star. I'm thinking about planting that there. And look how gorgeous these marigolds are. Now you guys, I am not a fan of marigolds, but I love these big giant marigolds. I grew these from seed, very proud of that. And look at the fall presents that this one gives you. My containers are hanging on. They've kind of made it throughout the summer. The vermillionaire still looks gorgeous and the bees are still loving this. And yes, I still have my hummingbirds are hanging around right here in the end of September. And the verbena, the peachy king verbena looks really, really pretty. Some of the petunias are just still trying to hang on here at the end of the summer. And then yes, look at that gorgeous red color. That is Mahogany Splendor hibiscus. I grew that from seed. And then we just have a few other things in here. Some hellebores hanging on, salvia. The spurge over there looks really, really pretty. Now the Walker's Low Catmint, this has been cut back several times, but boy, in the springtime and summertime, it was gorgeous. This one is another big pollinator lover of bees. This salvia looks gorgeous here, and that's the new coneflower that I just talked about, so we're going to place it there. Some coneflowers, either like, these are trying to come out of bloom or go out of bloom. I can't really tell. But we have some color right here from the candy corn spirea. We still have lots of white gaura here that are trying to bloom back. And then the black-eyed Susan vine, that's not a black-eyed Susan color, but this color right here is gorgeous into the garden right here into fall. That one is beautiful. Still some gorgeous fall grasses that we have here. Then we just come down and repeat the exact same thing in the containers. Look at the bees all over this one. Look at that. He's like, I want all these little buds right here to myself. This candy corn spirea is beautiful. It probably gets the most sun. Like I said, another repeat of the Walker Low. I do have a lilac that I've been trialing in this, so I'm hoping that it won't be like so dry next year. I'm going to add a little bit more irrigation. And then the pufferfish over there probably needs to be trimmed back sometime pretty soon. Then more hellebores, and then lungwort right here. I think these are called the pinkaboo. And you can see that I do have an echinacea there that's trying to pop out. I have some hardy hibiscus here. And then I thought I would put this colocasia there. This seems to me like more like it should be an indoor house plant, but if I can get it to grow, I think it's going to be just beautiful here, right there. I have some columbine, some astilbe. Oh my gosh, this agapanthus right there was gorgeous when it was in bloom. And then I just need to work on this area right here. I need to move some of these daylilies to like sunnier location and add a little bit more shade loving stuff there. But however, that area over there does get some full sun. Lots of ground cover here. I have some basil mixed in with some heuchera. A few dahlias here. They look better on the other side over here. This lantana is absolutely huge and has gotten so big, and pollinators love it too. The colors on this are just beautiful. This is the dahlia that's in bloom right here. These don't get very tall. These work really good in the garden right here. And then some of the roses right here, the David Austin roses are out of bloom. And then so are the clematis and then the rose. But I'll definitely show pictures of when it was in bloom. Rosa Sharon was gorgeous, but like I said, it's out of bloom as well. I see a few little blooms on the purple over there. These trees right here are Nellie Stevens, and that's all we did was take the limbs off and made them into little topiaries. And then coming over here, this is the area that I still really need to work at, but I thought I had it. But I do have, we have some beautiful yarrow that's coming into bloom right here. And I did have more of the echinacea there, but only one came back up. So trying to work on that. Trying to work on that area right there. Deer have been eating on that, so I need to find something that is deer resistant in that area. I need to work on the fire ants right there. We had a lot of rain and the fire ants have just kind of came up like crazy. So this area right here, I can do a little bit more. And then I'm also in the process of digging stuff up that I don't love, like this one right here. This is a bog plant that doesn't do very well at all, so it's going to come up, and then we're going to put this really big, gorgeous Rebecca right there in its place. Same with this hydrangea. The deers love it too much. I think I'm going to pull that out as well and have some dahlias that are kind of here and there that are looking really, really pretty. I said this was purple, but it's actually a blue chiffon, and it is lovely. And the bees love this one too. You see the little hummingbird? Yes, that little hummingbird is perched onto my invisible fence because this is helping me keep out my deer. So for the winter interest, we have these Yoshio cryptomera trees, and we needed those for privacy because we have a little lake area back here that we needed privacy from. So these gorgeous, huge, tall plants are giving me that. So that is my evergreen for the winter time. And then we have a few more other things into here on the other side. The junipers are giving me winter interest on the other side. So this is the other side of the cottage garden. And like I said, these are evergreen too, these tea olives. And they're starting to get teeny tiny little blooms that are supposed to smell divine. I'm waiting for the smell to come. The gardenia I just recently replanted there. It fell over into my container up there. So I replanted it here because I did have like a space here that people can see through. These are the gorgeous junipers. I have two different varieties in here. I have a goldy one, which is that one right there, a little bit different. You can see the textures there are just a little bit different. And then coming on down, this is giving me some gorgeous blooms right here. That's beautiful. Here on the other side, you can see the pufferfish. Looks like bees are enjoying that right now. This is butterfly weed that has the aphids all over it. It's never bloomed. Not sure what the deal is with that. I have another gorgeous variegated rose of Sharon that's called Sugar Tip, and this one is pink right here. More daylilies down there. This I need to prune back some more because it's kind of taking over. And then like I said, this here in the wintertime is gorgeous because it gives me, this stays evergreen and these are evergreen. So there is my winter interest. And then I have more Rose of Sharons down here that you can see better. That's the blue chiffon. And this gorgeous beauty right here is going to be a tree, and it is called the Temple of Bloom, and that's what it's supposed to look like in the fall. So I'm excited for these to kind of turn, and this one has just lots of interest. So I'm excited to see that plant mature. Some of the little blooms have already gone out of bloom. I think they'll get little berries on them next. Brazilian verbena is striking. I recommend that plant for everybody. Adding containers makes the cottage garden look very beautiful as well. So for spring, we had lots and lots of jonquils or daffodils in this area that were absolutely stunning. So I'll show you pictures of everything that was in the springtime. I believe we had a couple other spring bulbs that are in here as well. So I'll try to show you pictures of that. And in the summertime, I think this view was my favorite when all these were in bloom. The white garas were in bloom, and then I had like peachy, orangey coneflowers that stood really high that were just really, really beautiful. So I think summertime was my favorite, or the first beginning of the summer. So like I said, I'm still trying to add flowers that I love, taking out flowers that just doesn't do well in this garden or doesn't do good in just my general area. All right, you guys, so I hope you enjoyed this series on garden dreams, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, friends. Garden number 3 is Julia. Julia gardens up in Canada, and she is an artist, and she's got lots of good ideas for us. So let's go look at Julia's garden.
It's time to dream in the garden, and it's almost Canadian Thanksgiving, so there's lots to be thankful for. But I am dreaming of a few things. Come along. It is the second day of fall, and I am in my garden after a weekend away, and I always love to come back and visit my garden. It's kind of like an old friend. Even though I've only been gone 4 days, it's really nice to come back and see the fall garden. And we've had some rain. We had a lot of rain yesterday, so the garden looks fresh and delicious and cool. Let me flip the camera around and I'll show you around. But I'm gonna talk a little bit about my dream garden. You guys already have my dream garden. And you know, as a gardener, as an artist or anything, that you're always perfecting your craft. So I have a few ideas and I'll let you know what they are. But I hope you enjoy this tour. We'll start here by coming into the garden from the driveway. But I don't know what it is about an overcast day and a rain, but look at the vibrancy of the garden today. It is just gorgeous. Everything is kind of having a second flush. The big daddies are gorgeous. But look at the shining star is that the nasturtium loves the little bit of a cooler weather and is giving me a gorgeous second display. We had set up for my garden tour, which you can go back and watch, with artisans and me, art in the garden, and I had layered different things. So these begonias I bought as trio in a planter last year, overwintered them, and then now have gotten 3 huge planters. So I had cut down, I had some Joe Pye weed there that for some reason this year got very mildewy. So I cut it down and I simply layered in those dragon begonias. This is where I had some donkey tail spurge and it didn't really like the spot. So we took it all out and we just put in some river rock as a bit of a difference in texture. Now, I think I've talked about this before. I trimmed all my oak leaf hydrangeas and I must have done it at the wrong time because they're not giving me a lot of blooms. But that's okay. The shape of them is perfect. Don't you love this little succulent dish? The shape is perfect for next year and it will turn a bright red. You can kind of see in the back where I didn't have to trim. All the blooms are there. But again, this Japanese grass, this is part of my dream. So I'm gonna show you in just a minute. That's a 3rd begonia. So what I'll do is I'll probably cut it back hard when it's time to take it in and just overwinter it again in the garage. This is the donkey spurge that originally I had planted where the river rock is. I had put some in my planter box here and it decided to have babies all around my step in the crevice. Isn't that fun? Now, it loves its life here. It obviously likes it better than where it was, so I'm just gonna leave it. This is how I had left the garden with all the planters tucked in because I have a watering system and it didn't rain last week while I was away, so they did get some rain. But look at one rainfall versus watering and everything just comes to life. That salvia is just blooming now. I had planted that from seed and I don't think it got enough sun here. So that's lesson learned, but I have layered in some lavender and that's doing really well. So next year it'll be great. So here is a little bit of my dream garden. If I can find a photo of the cosmos that were in here, I will overlay that in. But if you didn't, imagine a hot mess, a hot mess of cosmos that were, some of them had taken, some of them have not, all high. And then as soon as my garden tour was over, I pulled them all out. I was ruthless and I pulled them all out and I added Japanese forest grass. My dream is that, do you see how it's all mounded there? That's just 3 plants originally. I've already divided that baby a couple of times. My dream is that this is simply a huge mound of Japanese grass. I think it'll be beautiful. There's a lot going on in the garden with the hydrangeas and all the different things. And I think for your eye to come in, to rest, I have this row of boxwoods down here. That's my idea as well, that your eye would rest there. And then here, it would just be a mass. And then I can kind of focus on maybe purple, like the contrasting bright fuchsias and purple plants in this planter. All right, look, like it is loving its life right now. And the salvia will go until November. I don't know how long the nasturtium will go, if a frost will take it out. But that's 1 fern, couple of seeds of nasturtium, and 1 salvia plant. I threw a few zinnia seeds in there. They did okay. And then a cosmos planted itself there. Isn't that something? I hope the wind is not causing too much of a problem on the audio. I'm holding this phone right close to my face. So this coleus is getting a little leggy. I think it's time, when I have a moment, to trim it all up and make some cuttings and save those for next year. And again, salvia. Salvia is, I think, one of my favorite annuals. These are a couple of planters that I had at the gallery that just got really leggy and almost died. So I brought them home and cut them, and look what they're gonna do for me for the fall. I think I'm gonna get a big pumpkin, put it here, and just cluster these all in and around. Now you've seen my garden before. If you haven't, thank you for stopping in. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe so you can see more. My channel is all about living and working artfully. I'm an artist, and that is what I do most of the time. I paint. Actually, let me give you a little tiny studio tour if you haven't been in. Now, here's where I work, and I've got paintings in process, things just starting. I'm working on a few paintings. I've got a few commissions, and I'll be in here all day tomorrow. This is where, when I'm not on a tour, when it's very tidy on a tour, this is where I work, and I literally squish everything in and work hard. So that's all for that. Now, another area for my dream garden is this area. You might say, why have you got planters in the middle of your lawn? Now, do you see all the brown spots? This lawn just doesn't do very well, so it's gotta go. I'm going to be planting, or I'm going to be putting in a rock walkway, flagstone, that comes along, comes there, kind of ends, and then I'll put a little bit more of a rockway coming down the stairs. This area, I will allow the rocks to create kind of a, maybe not necessarily a circle, but more maybe an eye shape. All of this is going to come out, and I'm going to make it a sand pit where we will have either a little fire pit or the kids can play in the sand. I think it's going to be gorgeous. So that's the big dream. Also, the fall garden is actually one of my favorite times. And out here, I have so much room. and I really have always loved mass plantings. So we are going to be expanding. I'm working with a lady, her name is Laura, called Mud and Meadows, and we are going to sacrifice this garden this fall, divide it all up, but we're going to build a much bigger garden using all these plants, so I don't have to spend more money, and making all the divisions, but planting them en masse. See, now that they are all in full bloom, really, I can tell what they are, and I know exactly where they're going to go. This side is a bit of a hot mess. Those miscanthus grasses need dividing, and I don't really like the row that I did of my sedum. Again, we're going to be making this garden quite big, kind of going in all around and mulching and just dividing up all these plants so that in the fall next year, it's just going to have such impact. This is something, I can hardly wait. It happens the second week of October, and I am beside myself with excitement. The zinnias have done great. I think I will always plant some zinnias there with the salvia, and I threw some seeds in there. I just love the sunflowers poking out. Laura from Mud and Meadows is going to help me figure out this congestion. So it's a great time to do stuff in the fall, because everything is kind of full grown and we know where we should divide and things like that. These zinnias are having the end of their time, so they might come out in the next week, and then I'll kind of fluff up the mulch, make this a little pretty. But again, my goal here is more of that Japanese grass. So I only planted the zinnias here because this miscanthus had been moved from the other side of this miscanthus. It is taking its time to grow. Ultimately, this will fill this whole area as well. And I would love the green of the lime green of the Japanese grass to fill as a row here and just layered. Sometimes I just need some simplicity. But don't we all? Don't we all just need some simplicity? But look at this layered zinnia. Isn't that cool? Now, if you are a zinnia fan and you know if I could save any seeds or how to, give me some notes or leave me. Oh, I think that's what I've just solved here. Do I dry these? Tell me what I do. Do I simply take these and dry them and then they'll be fine for next year? Or do I sprinkle them in and they reseed? That is the advice I need from you. Again, the salvia, fine form. It took its time, but now I think it's very enjoyable in the early fall when most people's gardens are, kind of just done. The salvia is doing great. So I hope you enjoyed the tour. That is a little bit about my dream garden. Basically, I'm always expanding. My husband always wonders if I'm ever done. And if you're a gardener, you're never done, right? Plus, there's jobs. I do have to show you. I like this ivy to, let me see if I can get it to focus in on the ivy. I like that to be very crisp and tight. I have obviously ignored that, and that's going to be my job over the weekend, to trim that up. Actually, maybe I'll even go get my shears now and just trim it up. On that note, we'll see you later. I got some work to do. Tell me about your dream garden. What do you love to do in the fall? And I'll see you in the next video, which I think is about a mountain painting. See you later. Oh, do something artsy today. Like and subscribe.
The next garden is Lynn's garden, and she gardens up in Pennsylvania, and her garden is pretty special because she has a woodland garden, and I love how Pixie just loves her garden.
Hi everyone, welcome to my garden in southwestern Pennsylvania and the final Garden Dreams collaboration. It's autumn now, and the woods are beginning to shift color and drop leaves. It's amazing how much has changed since the tree was taken down in April. Month by month, more plants were added to the woodland walk, and they began to knit together into a whole, into a garden. Now the textures and shapes are rich and pleasing, yet they still look natural to me. The pagoda dogwood is one of my favorite small trees, graceful and at home in the woods, yet so useful to wildlife. In late September, its leaves begin to change to a soft rose color. The sunnier gardens feel the pollinators emerge from the woods in summer. Carpenter bees love the monarda blossoms. And so does the spicebush swallowtail. I grow the northern spicebush just so that I can see those butterflies. It's a graceful tall shrub with beautiful summer foliage that turns golden in fall. I grow strawberries in a planter on my deck that provide fruit all summer, but I always plant Italian parsley in it for the caterpillars that become yellow swallowtail butterflies. The upper deck surrounded by the trees is a great place for morning coffee. 25 feet in the air, I can see the lower gardens and into the treetops. I love the colorful annuals, and the pollinators always find their way here. They even pollinate the cherry tomatoes. I can look down at the woodland walk from here, or just enjoy the creatures that visit my bistro. The garden really suffered from extreme heat and drought this summer, and so did the creatures in it. A groundhog broke through the fence to eat some of the beds to the ground. We finally secured the fences and saved the garden. The deer were just as hungry and thirsty and were constant visitors to this bird bath on the ground. I filled the 2-gallon bowl twice a day for them. One day I noticed an odd depression in a dish of outdoor seedlings. A toad was trying to survive in the cool, damp soil after I watered the plants each morning. Toads are great for the garden, eating slugs and mosquitoes and other garden pests. So I made a toad house for it from a broken pot, filled it with damp soil, and planted sedge around it to create a pretty home in the woodland garden. After 6 months of planting and letting the Virginia creeper wind itself through the stumps, this new garden feels settled, as if it's been here for a long time. It has texture, color, shape, and even some open spaces for new plants. The rains have finally come, and the garden breathes a sigh of relief. I do the same. Pixie walks the garden with me, rain or shine. Volunteer natives bloom in the woods near the natives that I planted. Walking on this path filled with plants that was merely a dream a year ago reminds me that this is habitat building, creating a place for creatures and plants to flourish and fill the garden with life and song. There is more to do, more plants to add, a new connecting path to create. But this year's work is almost done, and soon it will be time to plan next year's garden dream. Do you have a garden dream?
The next garden is Emily, and Emily's channel is called The Scent of a Garden, and I love how she's got a big courtyard with lots of containers. So let's enjoy Emily's garden.
Well, hello, and welcome to The Scent of a Garden. My name is Emily, and I garden in Southern California, Zone 10B, Sunset Zone 22. And in this video, I'm sharing an update with you of the courtyard and shady front porch container gardens I planted in July, and which have serendipitously become a dream garden. The front entrance of my home is a courtyard and a shady front porch. I feel that your home should send you off into your day with just a warm face that says, slay this day and make it yours. So let me turn the camera around and show you my courtyard and shady front porch plant party space. Now this is phase one of this growing season. Entering from the sidewalk, a lounging palm and 3 medium pots greet you. Behind the palm, I planted a quartet of agapanthus in July. I affectionately call them Aggies, and both the palm and the Aggies do a little dance. Now let's talk about the container. So I planted floret dahlias in one container, jasmine and a championship rose bush I found on the sale rack at Home Depot, and the scent is absolutely lovely. The dahlias were slow to bloom, probably due to powdery mildew, but in any case, I love how the flower pushes through and is determined to grow. I look forward to meeting it. Sweet potato vines cascade over the planter with the roses. Next is the passion flower vine. I have the more common variety in my backyard, which is beautiful. But this red variety provides a splash of that trendy red, and I love it. I mean, look how tall it's grown. Now, I do need to fasten it to wire to provide direction for the vine, and I can see it growing over the dining room window. To the left of the roses, I planted a stock tank with nasturtiums. I started from seed, and floret zinnias I started from seed. And while the nasturtiums provided cover for aphids, the zinnias were attacked by powdery mildew, but still managed to produce some beautiful blooms. And I also grew geraniums from seed, and they are doing very well. So opposite the brightly colored zinnias, I intentionally planted soft, muted colors. I planted an abutilon tiger eye, aka Chinese paper lantern, or a fake maple because of its leaves. And underneath the tiger eye, I added yellow lantana to match the center of the tiger eye bloom, and added dichondra falls to bring out the silver that's found in the edges of the bud of the flower. And I love the way this container came together with colors and textures. To add more silver, I planted a majestic ceanothea, which did really well until the August heat wave, and literally the petals just fell over. So parts of the plant are still holding on, and I will keep the parts that are still holding on, and I'll backfill with Dusty Miller that I also grew from seed. So next to the abutilon, I planted heliotrope, because when the abutilon blooms die, the the flower turns a deep purple, almost eggplant in color. So the deep purple of the heliotrope seemed to be a good pairing with the abutilon. I added impatiens, which is one of the most dependable shade plants. And by September, as you can see, the impatiens just overtook the heliotrope. You can't even find it. So, yeah, they are dependable. And I also planted 3 containers with a cast iron plant, which is another dependable shade plant, and with impatiens underneath, and it's growing really well. The slow-growing succulents planted in my wagon are thriving, and the yellow and purple daylilies were lovely and short-lived, but the strappy leaves live on. So moving on to another section of the courtyard, that is a collection of purples and pinks and a splash of lemon yellow from the Meyer lemon tree. At first glance, you see the sweet pea shrub, no relation to the sweet pea vines. The shrub produces a lovely soft bloom, and this shrub is drought tolerant. Next to it, it's the lemon Meyer tree, 2 succulents continuing to flower, yay, mint, and a princess flower that I started from a cutting from a princess plant in my backyard. I'm very excited to see it bloom, and you can see from the picture in July how small it was, and at that time I thought it was really tall. Climbing up the stair is a handsome fern and well-dressed fuchsia that loves its life. There's more mint on the table with the fuchsia and cyclamen. The leaves are beautiful, and occasionally I get a bloom from the cyclamen even though it's late September. On the bench you see a euphorbia and also a succulent container that was gifted to me from my neighbor. And you can see the wandering Jew is just on a discovery journey, and I love it. The last group of containers to share with you are the Arabian jasmine and angel's trumpets, or brumansia. So the Arabian jasmine is an interesting plant. It's a shrub with glossy leaves and quarter-sized blooms that pack a fragrant punch. I moved this plant from the backyard to the courtyard, and it's thriving. The angel's trumpet, or brumansia, I propagated from a cutting. I will transplant it soon to a larger container, and I hope by spring of 2025, the fragrance of the trumpet flower will greet me in the driveway. So thank you for coming to my garden dinner party. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, enjoy your flowers and the fragrance in the air.
The next and last garden is DeBorrah. She gardens in Georgia. Her gardening channel is called Inspiring Gardening Corner, and I love that she has a secret garden, and especially that her husband has some special gifts on making their own arbor. So make sure you watch DeBorrah's garden.
Good afternoon, garden friends, on this beautiful fall day. Today's video is the finale of our collaborations regarding our garden dreams. Now, mind you, mine is not done, but I have made some amazing progress, and want to be able to show you the transformation. Now, this has been, I would say a 1.5 year time frame for my secret garden, but we have been doing this Garden Dreams series for about 6 months. So, one of the things that I'd like to do is walk you through the initial steps that we ended up taking to start laying the foundation for my secret garden. Now, mind you, those of you who have followed me know this area is full sun. And as I was looking and getting inspired from, different individuals off of Pinterest, I had come up with an idea, but then changed my mind. And because I changed my mind, we got to do something different. But I want to be able to share with you guys, like I said, this transformation of my secret garden, which is part of, like I said, this collaboration with 4 other fantastic YouTube gardeners, and I'll post their links up in the top. But I'm also going to be sharing with you snippets of their garden dream, to where in the description you can go ahead and look at the entire video. Like I said, I'm going to walk you through the palette that we had to work with, different things that we ended up doing, and then I will share with you part of the finished secret garden. So come along with me. As I stated, inspiration was drawn from Pinterest. Now, while I did not go with this format, it definitely was a key in the direction I went. Now, this is what it looked like when we initially started. We were doing the sheet mulching process before we chose to lay the gravel down on this area. But we did already have the tiered beds. Kevin and I moved 4 tons of gravel to lay the foundation. We got the gravel laid, but one of my dilemmas was anytime I would video, I would end up capturing my neighbor's car in the video. So to alleviate that, we ended up building a privacy fence, and with the goal to add to that seclusion. And we also started to stain it the same color as the slate gray that is through our entire fenced in yard. How lovely it ended up turning out and making the rich colors of the garden just pop against the slate gray fence. We wanted to add an arbor because I had gotten an Eden climbing rose bush that I wanted for the entrance, and adding that romantic seclusion to the garden. And on each side, we built boxes to where I could plant the Eden climbing. And look how gorgeous, full, and luscious the Eden climbing rose bush is. So now the building of the structure starts. Kevin had got the posts concreted in, and he is now in the process of connecting the pieces together. Fast forward to he got it connected. He's starting to put on the crossbars, and man, I can already see how this is going to change the feel of my secret garden, while adding some filtered shade, because that was my goal. Like I said, this is a full sun garden, and I knew I would not be able to make it into a shade garden as the premise behind a secret garden is. But it allows me to have this beautiful array of hibiscus seeds. Seeds I started for my gomphrena. And also having a full sun garden allows for me to have many choices. Now, we'll go ahead and jump right in to the final touches Kevin needed to put on the arbor.
All right, now we're going to be making the supports that all support on the post. Total of 16 of them. Made a template out of 1/4-inch material, screwed to each board. What I'm going to do is use the bandsaw just to cut about an 1/8 inch, no more, proud of the template to get rid of a lot of all this excess. And then we'll finish it off with the router with a template bit, and I'll show you that when we get to it. Got the dust collection set up. Let's go. There we go. You can see it's just a little proud of the line. The router will take care of the rest. One down, 15 more to go. Okay. I don't have the router table set up yet, so I have to do it the old-timey way. I've got it clamped. I'll just have to move this and re-clamp each piece as I go. But here is the bit. There's a bearing on the bottom, bearing on top. Those bearings will ride along that template, and it'll cut flush along with the template. So let me go ahead, and I already got everything set, the depth and everything what I need. Let's go. And as you can see, it cuts it nice and flush with that. I'm going to spare you all the time involved. Got to cut this a little bit tighter, change it to where I can get closer. I'll show you in the end.
Now, the main thing in regards to my garden dreams was adding a structure to help add that seclusion and intimacy that I wanted to create for my secret garden, plus block some of that direct sun that would be up in this area. So let me turn the camera around so I can share with you the finished project of my pergola being built for my secret garden. Now, as I showed you in the beginning, the steps that we took to create this, it turned out so amazing. I so love the archway that Kevin ended up building. Gives that nice soft edge to the arbor. And we were deciding on whether or not to stain it, paint it, or allow it to go natural. But as Kevin stated, with treated wood, you should probably allow it to dry for a good season before you do anything, so that ends up taking. The other thing that we ended up doing was our Texas Vertex lilac. We are going to keep it as more of a shrub. Just keep it clipped down because I love to be able to see the archway all the way through. And as we go through the garden, I'm still doing some rearranging and cleanup in here because I did not realize my Mystic Blue Sprea was going to take off like it did. This one here is after I had cut it down and provided some support for it, because this here, let me show you, is why I need to add support to it. I did not realize it was going to get this big, and all three of these were that size, and I just recently cut this one back and gave it a support mechanism to climb up for next year. I need to find another one that matches that, and like I said, doing some additional things that I'm going to be adding into the garden, because that rose bush is actually getting pushed back into the corner. And then I'm thinking about, in between the Mystic Blues, putting additional rose bushes. My Gumfrina that I grew from seed, it must just love this soil back here, because everything seems to just go full-fledged flourishing. And I ended up adding some pansies. I know it's a little bit early. I wanted to add just a little pop of color. Now, with this arbor, you know, one of the things that I wanted was for it to come into a curve. And let me just show you how Kevin had to create this. It's just a nice accent to the garden. Let me see if I can show you how from this side it ends up looking. That he had to reconfigure it because it does have a pitch to the angle coming over here to my bench. Now, as I stated, I ended up having a vision of this. So the next thing that we're going to be doing is rebuilding the archway there that has my Eden climbing rose. We're gonna build bigger boxes and then make the opening wider and make it out of the timbers so that it mimics when you come into the secret garden. And you know, that's the thing about gardening. Different things inspire you. The archway of the initial arbor was my inspiration, along with things that I ended up seeing off of Pinterest. Another thing I ended up doing was I got 4 pink mink clematis at each of the posts going down this side of the arbor. It ends up climbing 10 to 15 feet tall, and I think it'll look gorgeous on all 4 posts, climbing up to also add more seclusion into the secret garden. But everything else is looking good. You know, I ended up, trimming back my irises, my yellow flag irises, agaro, just cleaning up some things before I start with my truly fall planting. My maiden grass, I so love it. We had to tie it up because it just got so big. And this is only one season for this guy. So it's doing really well. But everything is looking good. I so love the combination of the black-eyed Susans and the perennial verbena. I got some garo in here, and it just looks so lush back here in the garden. And I so love it. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed seeing the transformation of my secret garden and got inspired by it, because, you know, a lot of times it is about the plants, but also creating structure that will allow you to add those unique touches that you want to your garden. Well, thank you again for visiting Inspiring Garden Corner. And like I said, the other ladies that I collaborated with, their entire video link will be in the description. So hope you enjoy it, because you got some amazing gardeners. We live in different areas throughout the United States. Well, guys, I hope you felt inspired. And, you know, with a little hard work, focus, inspiration, you too can create that garden dream that you are so looking forward to. Well, once again, thank you for visiting Inspiring Garden Corner.
All right, guys, I hope all 6 of these gardens gave you some sort of inspiration. I believe and I think that they're all beautiful. And I hope you enjoyed this series of garden dreams. If you have a garden dream that you want to tell us about, make sure you share in comments. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe all of our channels, and I'll have them linked in the description under more. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.